Hello all, Kevin Baxter here with Salty Dog Outdoors. Uh, what I'm actually doing here is doing a test video to see if I can do this online presentation software. And we're going to start out by doing the intro video to the introduction to medicinal and edible plants. I can see right now I'm going to need a better camera, and I don't have any idea what I'm going to do to get the computer screen glare off my glasses. So, but you came here to learn about plants. You didn't come here to look at me. So, with that being said, we're going to go straight into the introduction to medicinal and edible plants. This is part one. I'm going to try to keep these in the 10-minute range, maybe a little less, because I don't want you to have to look at me for an extended amount of time. And let's just go ahead and get into this. I'm going to try to present this stuff via the KISS method. The KISS method was something started by the Navy back in the 70s. It was a thing to keep things simple, and it stands for Keep It Simple. So, with that being said, I'm not saying anybody's stupid. I'm just saying that's what the Navy decided the acronym was going to stand for. Keep it simple, stupid. With that being said, I'm not going to get into a bunch of big herbal and medicinal terms and things like that in this introductory level video. We're going to try to keep it plain language. Some things we're going to have to use medicinal and plant terms, but I will try to keep it as simple as I possibly can. Any of you that have sat in one of my classes, you know I like to talk about generational knowledge, and I've got a couple of plants that I like to bring up. Generational knowledge is just nothing more than our ancestors knew more about the natural world than we do. For the most part, they could walk out into the woods or along a field or into a field or out on the prairies and identify plants that they saw out there just as easily as you and I can go into a grocery store and identify tomatoes and carrots and cucumbers and so on and so forth and know how to use those. I like to tell the story about poke because it's one of my favorite things that drives some of my fellow instructors crazy because common knowledge with poke is deadly. Yet I have read in pioneer era cookbooks recipes for poke wine and poke jelly and so on and so forth. I eat poke every spring. But here's the deal. Someplace along the line, somebody decided they had a bad reaction to poke, and they decided that means that the plant is deadly poison. Here's what I want you to remember. Most of the plants that we run into are not going to put you down. They're going to make you sick if it's not something you shouldn't be eating. There are some out there that will put you down. Okay, don't get me wrong. And that's going to go into the identification and use portion of this class. But don't be super scared, okay? Just be sure about what you are putting in your mouth, all right? I like to use the term item to identify plants, and that's not mine. It is stolen from Green Dean at Eat the Weeds. Once again, it is stolen, not mine. I didn't come up with this. From Green Dean at Eat the Weeds. He's got a group on Facebook, and he's got a website and all kinds of stuff. And he's probably one of the most knowledgeable guys about plants out there. That being said, let's go into item. I in item stands for identify positively. This is always going to be your first rule, no matter what plants you find, what you're doing. Always ID positively. If you are not 100% sure, don't use the plant. All right. When you're identifying a plant, I want you to use at least 2 different sources. I don't care if it's 2 separate plant guides. I don't care if it's an edible guide and a medicinal guide. I don't care if it's a plant guide and an app on your phone. I don't care what your 2 sources are. I just want you to use 2 separate sources. The problem with some things is some plant guides have mistakes in them. They just do. So I want you to look at 2 different sources and make sure they say the same thing about the plant you're looking at. And then I want you to look at this plant and I want you to identify it on 3 different attributes. That can be the leaves, it can be the flowers, it can be the stalk, it can be the root system, it can be where it's growing. It can be all of those things, or at least 3 of those things, okay? Uh, with that being said, T is time of year. T in item is time of year. Is the plant doing what it's supposed to do when you find it, when you're interacting with it in its environment? Uh, an example being, if the plant is in full bloom and you believe it to be something, but your plant ID guides both say that it doesn't bloom until fall, then you got the wrong plant if it's blooming in the spring. All right. So, once again, positive identification. If you're not 100% sure, don't use the plant. Time of year, is the plant doing what it's supposed to do at the time of year you find it? E, environment. Is the plant growing in the proper environment? And is that environment a healthy one? All right. So, if you're looking for a plant that's supposed to grow in the marshes and have its feet wet, but you find it in the prairie in a dry area, it could be the wrong plant. If you find a plant that's supposed to grow in the prairies and you find it in the deep woods, you probably got the wrong plant. All right. Now, if you identify this plant and you're sure, but it's growing in an environment that's not safe for the plant, are you getting runoff from a farm? Has it been sprayed? Uh, that kind of thing. Is the environment healthy and proper for the plant that you're looking at? All right. M. Part of this is we're gonna worry about later in the series, but M is method of preparation, and that's a twofold thing. How are we going to use the plant? How are we going to prepare it for what we want to get out of it? And what parts of the plant are we going to use for those effects that we're looking for? All right, with that being said, I'm going to close part 1. The things I want you to take away from this are use that acronym ITEM, ITEM, identify positively, time of year, environment, and method of preparation. All right. I want you to go out and find one plant and look at your plant ID guides and see if you got the right thing. With that being said, thank you all. See you in the woods.